What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another extraordinary episode of the Extraordinary Exchange Podcast. I'm your guy, Nate Bennett. Got my guy, Case. What up, Case?
What's happening, man? Back in the building. It's been a few.
It's been a few. Yeah, you've been off here, but you back like you never left, man. Appreciate you being here, sharing this space with us to have this extraordinary exchange. And we're going to have an extraordinary one tonight. We got another phenomenal, illustrious guest joining us this evening. Had the pleasure of kind of getting to know them through the interwebs, through social media, through Instagram for the last few years, seeing her journey, really acknowledging and appreciating the spaces that she occupies and what she's doing in the world. I'll let her tell her story. But she's in the education space, behavioral analyst, licensed behavioral analyst. Does doula work, so she's part of the birthing process for certain communities. I'll take a little snippet off the E.I.G. DC paid, quit made, representing PA all day, from fellow PA native to another. But yeah, y'all welcome to the space, Miss Kristin Shymoniak, more affectionately known as Shy. Welcome to the podcast, Shy.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate you being here and taking time out your busy day.
Yeah, I'm excited. Having an extraordinary exchange.
For sure.
For sure. And from a fellow podcaster, I think you're the first podcaster, the official first podcaster we've had on our podcast. So,
now question: am I still considered a podcaster? Since
once a podcast, always a podcaster. Are you still considered? Are you still a PA native? Even though you've been in the DMV for a long time.
Good point.
Yeah, come on now.
Good point. Okay, well, I'm a podcaster.
Yeah. Are we going to see that come back anytime soon? That was going to be one of my later questions, but we can get to that now. We're going to see that come back anytime soon?
Probably not. I mean, there's been talks of different spinoffs that we would have, but life just be lifing. So background, everybody that's listening. Well, first, hi, I'm Shy, but what you say?
So we didn't even get the introduction. We just went straight to the questions, man. We don't even know who we asking questions to, Nate.
No, it's cool. So I used to have a podcast called 15 Good Minutes with my brother Kirk. And it legit was just a 15-minute podcast to get you, we catered it to anyone in a car that was might be going to the grocery store or just work down the street, just a quick conversation, something light to keep the air, just light and joyful, and you're on your way for the rest of the day or wherever you might be going. So we did that for a few years. We stopped for a little bit, then COVID happened and we were in the house. So why not start it back up? Because we ain't doing nothing else and people need to laugh and people needed to be light. So we picked it back up and then we did that for about another year or so. And then life picked back up. And so we just decided to focus on our lives. Kurt got married, bought a house. I moved. And so we just took a break. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe in the next couple months or years, we'll see where we land.
Shout out to Kurt, man. I don't know him personally, but from watching y'all exchange and seeing y'all do what y'all do, shout out to that man. Good people. So officially introduce yourself, let everybody know what you do, what you does, how you kind of got into the many multitude of spaces that you occupy.
Well, as I shared, I'm shy. It's not because I'm shy or timid or any of that. Although I am an introvert, my name comes from a shortened version of my last name. So Shymoniak, as Nate shared, that's my last name. It is Serbian, if anyone is wondering, because I get that a lot. My father is Serbian. No one really wants to pronounce it. It's very intimidating on paper. So, but it's very, you call it phonetic. You can sound it out. It's easy, but people just didn't want to try. So then they shortened it to Shy. And so my father is Shy. I'm Shy. My brother's Shy. So when we're all in the room, someone say Shy, we got to figure out who they're talking to. So the short description of that, I feel like encompasses all that I do, is I'm a world changer. That is my brand. That is what I live by. So any way that I can impact this world positively through my actions or anything that I touch, that's what I want to do. So in that touch and in that impact, I hold a couple positions. I'm first educator. So I started off as an autism specialist and autism teacher, and then transitioned to the different roles throughout education and special ed in particular. So currently I'm a student support coordinator, working for the central office for one of the public schools down here. And so I just make sure that, special ed departments and schools are under compliance, making sure parents understand the process, helping teachers understand interventions and supports for their students, as well as conduct testing and evaluations for students that we suspect might have a disability, or to help them get success in the classroom. So that's one thing. Another thing is I am a doula, a trained doula. And so with that, I know you guys probably got questions about that, but overall, we're just advocates for the birthing person and their family. And so I help the parents or whoever might be the birthing person develop a birth plan, understanding what their wants and needs are in the birthing journey, if they want to have a water birth or a hospital birth, or they don't know, and helping them explore those options and creating a plan to prepare them for their birthing journey. Sometimes I might have to support the other birthing parent so that they can stay calm, so that they can be a calm person in the room when the birth happens, or making sure that the other children, if there are other children, are taken care of during the birth. However, I can support to provide the most beautiful experience for the birthing person and their family. What else do I do, Nate?
I mean, we can talk about some of the organizations you part of. The Black Millennials for Flint, for sure. I know that's been your. I can't even say a baby. That's a big baby.
That's my heart. Okay, so I'm the board chair for Black Millennials for Flint, which is a grassroots environmental justice and civil rights organization, founded out of outrage of the Flint water crisis. And so our main goal is to raise awareness around lead poisoning and prevention, and eradicate it in our brown and Black and Indigenous communities. And so we do that through numerous things. We actually pass legislation in different cities to maintain regulations on water quality and lead exposure in the school systems. We help residents get legal help if they do have lead exposure in their homes, making sure that they're able to test the paint and water in their homes to make sure they don't have lead in it. We also do a lot of community organizing, teaching them, because our whole goal is you shouldn't rely on our voice to be your voice. We should teach you and give you all the tools so that you can be your voice for your voice and for your community, and to keep it going so that we can always self-advocate. So that is my baby. So we have different satellite cities. So of course, Flint, Michigan, DC is one of our cities, Memphis, Baltimore, and we're working on getting Philly soon.
I
think that's the gist.
That's the gist. We won't do too many things. So as you can see, she's the epitome of a Renaissance woman. You know what I'm saying? Just doing many things. So the main thing, not the main thing, there's many things I wanted to jump into, but why? Well, so now I know that you have a DC chapter here. I was going to say you're not from Flint. I mean, you don't have to be from Flint to advocate for Flint and what's going on there. But how did you get involved in that? Because we're 12 Black men that are in communities doing stuff here locally, cases in the Carolinas. We got folks in ATL, Baltimore, and we all want to make an impact and be our own world changers. So how did you get involved with that mission, and how'd that become your baby?
So before Black Millennials for Flint, I was a president and also a chair of the National Urban Leagues chapter, DC chapter, which was Thursday Network. And
of course
so,
you were.
Yeah. And so we the president before me, Latricia Adams, whenever the Flint water crisis really came to light, she was outraged, and a lot of us were, and she was like, we have to do something. So our first event, before we were even incorporated yet, was to deliver water to Flint. So we had a water drive. Urban League helped support it. We drove up. We had Urban League from Buffalo come. A lot of different Urban League chapters came to support, and we went to Flint. They went to Flint to deliver the water. After that's when they were like, we need to make this an organization. This needs to be something that's an ongoing thing. And so then February 2016, we became an organization. And so that's how it just stemmed. So being associated with the Urban League, we had camaraderie there. And then when Latricia became CEO of Black Millennials for Flint, they had something called, which they still have, is the Lead Prevention Ambassadors Program. And it's really to get people educated on lead prevention so that we can go out and be griots in our communities to tell more people about it and raise awareness. And so I was in the inaugural ambassador program. So from then on, then she just asked me to join the board and keep the work pushing forward.
Let me ask you this question. When did you know you wanted to be a world changer?
You know, I don't know. I think it was always in me. So growing up, my parents are pastors and community leaders. And so that's all I've known is organizing, compassion, leadership. So I've known that we relocated to Jamaica because my mom was building an orphanage there. And so I seen that work, that service work of people that we're not even related to, that my mom wanted to help because her heart was in the island. So I had that. So it's always been ingrained in me. But as I became more independent and being able to have my own opinions about things and noticing that some things aren't fair, and I'm an empath, so I get strong emotions real easy.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how do I direct these emotions to make change? Because I don't want anyone to feel the way I'm feeling right now. And then I start learning more about service, and then moving here, learning about the Urban League. And then that's really, Urban League was really what started me and propelled me into where I am now. So without them, I'm sure I would be much less. So I owe a lot to Urban League and developing me as a leader and community servant. But it's always been in me. And I got World Changer tatted on me. So like it's always on me now.
Yeah. No way. There ain't no going back.
Yeah. I gotta live up to it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my parents just, branded that in me and ingrained that in me is love and compassion and service and community. So it's always been in there.
That's dope. And hearing how Nate gave your experiences and what you do, like that service spirit is what I continue to hear throughout and through. That and that goes a long way in becoming that world changer, because it's not about yourself. It's about how can you improve while you're here to the next generation so they can keep kicking that forward. So
and it's like my version of love, like my understanding of what love is, whether it's friendship or a more romantic love, or for any love, for me is wanting more for someone than I want for myself. And so I try my best, and of course I'm human, so I do fail at this, but I try my best to operate in love as much as I can, and it's in that love. So if I see an injustice or I see someone having less than me, how can I have them have more than me? Mm-hmm. Because you deserve it. We all deserve more. Mm-hmm. And so that's my guiding question to myself. Like, how can I help them have more and sustain it? Not just a one-time deal.
Right. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and I love how you talked about empowering people in certain positions. So like once we're gone, you can just pick up the reins and advocate for yourself. You don't need me to be there. I'm giving you the systems, the infrastructure, so then you can go on, push forward. And then just like your parents taught you that, you can teach that next generation and so on and so forth, to where we all world changers, after a while.
Right. And we don't even have to change the world no more because it's changed.
It's changed. Exactly.
That's the end goal. Why we keep fighting these same fights? And I told this to a group of people I had to speak to. It's like, it was a group of older folk. So I was like, I'm tired of generations leaving giants for the younger generations to slay.
That's a bar.
When we could just slay them and leave whatever's left for them to slay. And as generations go, it should be less and less fights we got to fight, because we're slaying giants, you slaying littler giants, smaller giants, until there's no more.
Yeah.
And it's just like sometimes generations, we pass things over like, oh, it's not directly impacting me, I really don't got to deal with it. But no, the giant gets larger, it gets stronger. And it's like, at one point, when are we not strong enough to fight it? So that's that.
That's super fair. Like we'll go off on a whole tangent with this conversation.
No. I like where we at. Keep that right here. Yeah, for sure.
It's simply put, like we walk by these giant trees and we see that we need to chop them down, right? And we like, you know what? My axe ain't big enough at this moment because it's just me. My axe ain't big enough. If I got the crew behind me, we can get it down. So I'm gonna walk right past this tree, right? And then the next man walk right past that tree, but that tree keep growing, right? And so when we talk about generations, like and we getting this with some of the members in the group, like the government played a big part in why some of our generations ain't generational. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what the government took away was they didn't really take away the blueprint. They saw the blueprint. They understood how strong that blueprint was. So they took away the people who created the blueprint and didn't let you know where the blueprint was. And that blueprint ain't never left.
Never freaking left.
You know what I mean? And, with this organization, we base it on principles of everything that you talk about already is it's not about us. It's how we leave our community better, right? How do we drop these seeds so when our trees start to grow, you know what I mean, and our forests get bigger, and because our unity, our community, we're not letting everybody play us against us. We're really realizing the power of our culture, the power of our numbers. That's the day that we'll be all right. But until that happens, we have to continue to plant those seeds piece by piece.
Right. And another thing, Case, and I freaking love your name, by the way, how you spell it. It's just
appreciate it.
Another thing is in our community, I think specifically, and it could be in other communities, we wait for a leader to emerge. And that sets us up because we're waiting for a leader to emerge. Okay, a leader might emerge, but then we're giving all this power to this one person. Versus it's a multitude of people behind this man lifting he or she up, not knowing how strong they are. They're more strong than this guy.
Right. They put the battery in his back, but the charge is the ones who's giving them the battery.
And it's like if we wake up and we realize these things, what's the scripture with what one man can take 1,000, with two we could take 10,000. There's strength in these numbers that we don't need a leader to lead us. We are the leaders. And if we take on this tribal behavior that is innate to us, we would be able to tackle things so much more greater and further. And so that's all I want to do.
We'd have to take the ego. The hardest part is taking that ego out, though. The hardest part is taking
that ego is a killer. Yeah.
How many times we talk about in our meetings, Case, how we got to recognize our greatness more, recognize that we superstars, that we're gods at this, you know what I'm saying, and conduct ourselves accordingly. And like you said, and the funny thing is, Shar, we're quick to elevate these people once they show a little bit of promise, but then once they see a little chink in their armor, we quick to tear them down to, I knew it was, you're going to have the haters. I knew it was too good to be true. Oh man, they were holier than thou, but we shouldn't have that one person on the pedestal. We should have.
It's going to cause them to fail.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're imperfect. We're human. It's going to happen.
Very much so. And it's like, and when you think about it in business, right? You should take it to the same extent in leadership and community. You got your power broker. That's your person getting your money, getting you more leverage. You got your advocate. That's the one talking about the people that need to be lifted up. You got all these other people that should be in the inner workings of building a leader or building leadership. But we're missing all these other parts, or the importance of the other parts that make a machine go or make a business go. And that's why we've been in the wilderness for so long. I feel like we've just been following Moses, and it's more than just Moses here.
And to that point of having a single leader and giving them the power, like you said, Nate, when they make a mistake, it's magnified. But the only reason it's magnified is because it's like, dang, I put all my faith in this dude, and he wasn't who he sold himself to be. When realistically, it's like, all right, we're three like-minded people in here on this here podcast, and it's like, all right, we don't need no centralized leader. If I talk to Shy, if I talk to Nate, we can come to a consensus. I can guarantee that we can pull other people to that same consensus. Pull other people to that same consensus. And that's, you work with the you did work with the Urban League, and it's like, that's the premises that we miss as the community is power in numbers.
And they just a figurehead too. It's a whole tribe of people that's working with them. That's the reason why they're up there, is because there was a community of folks that helped them get there. He or she, they are just the figurehead.
Got to be voted in, man.
Yeah. And it's also like you just said, us three talking. I might have some people that are more in alignment with my thinking and my values. Now, us three, we have a collective, like a Venn diagram. We got some commonalities, but I'm sure we got some different perspectives and views of how things should work. But if we bring all of our insights, right, we got people that's following or connected to those insights. So they might not always agree with me, but you're bringing a multitude together, just like family. We're not always going to be on the same page, but we got a commonality of raising our community up. We got different viewpoints of how to do it, but commonality is unity in getting more leverage and more power in our community. And that's what we got to hash out the differences. How do we go outside of that to make sure we can unify even more?
And the dope part about it is that I can guarantee within that Venn diagram, there's ideas that I've never thought of. There's ideas that you've never thought of. And it's like, all right, well, shoot, I ain't never thought of that. Let's add that to the pot, And then now we've crafted a beautiful, with multitude of ideas where it's not just one person's idea. It's not this person's idea. And it's like, all right, well, everybody has a say. Everybody feels good about what's happening.
Yep. Woo! This is great.
I told you that's why I wanted you on, because I like this conversation so far. This is dope. This is really dope.
Yeah, I don't want to segue to this, but I'm going back to all the stuff that you do. Like,
it's hard being a world changer, man.
No, because we're kind of talking about like power in numbers, right? So I kind of want to go to you said that you, in your education background, that you work with autistic kids and you work in special education. And I know down here, my wife just started a job at the school. She's like the building substitute, but a lot of her classes are the special ed classes and the autism classes. And she tells me about the level of support that they actually need versus the level of support that they actually get. How, in your perspective, as a people, because a lot of times in our communities we've had kids who may have had some type of learning disability, and our parents have been too stubborn to get them the help. How do we change that stigma?
That actually is what I do for work. I help parents and families kind of understand it so there isn't a stigma. Because unfortunately, a big part of my job is to tell parents that their child has a disability, and nobody ever wants to tell a parent that.
Right.
But in me telling them that, I provide education on this isn't a death sentence for your child. This is just, they view the world and they learn differently. And now it is our job to show you how they learn. They don't learn like you. So we're going to make a blueprint so that you can understand that they see the world through this lens. And that kind of opens them up a little bit to be more open to it. But it's all about showing them the successes or the capabilities that their child can do versus the can't. And so in my meetings, the numbers never lie. So I always will say, but they might not be really good in, let's say, math, but they are spectacular in writing. So we know in human form, we're all good at some things and terrible or not as good in others. It's the same thing. It's just a little bit exacerbated, or we hone in on it more because the student has a disability. So I try to shed light on that, but then giving them the tools to understand they just see the world and take in the world differently. And then connecting them to social groups or other groups of people so that they don't feel alone. Because I think more with the stigma, they feel like they're separated from their community. And there's so many out there that have neurodiversity. And I think now it's big on TikTok. So now it's inclusion is like a big topic right now in our culture. Like they're talking about everybody has autism. So like friends will call me and be like, hey, do what? And I'd be like, before you even start, you don't have autism.
No, right.
Off of TikTok. But I think we're starting to become, as you know, as much as our world is evolving or our society is evolving to be more inclusive of all things, whether it's the LGBTQIA community or racial things, we're also starting to accept neurodiversity. And so I think with time, it's going to trickle down and be a more softened blow for families. But I would say providing the right education for them, it alleviates a lot of the stress and connecting them to resources in their community, especially with autism, children with autism, connecting them to an ABA therapist or a BCBA like myself. We help provide early intervention, and early intervention is proven to be a really great resource for individuals in having a more typical lifestyle versus those that don't. I hope I answered your question.
You did, and you answered it to the T, because I really just wanted the people to hear, you know, that there is education out there. There's not, you know, not people, not to look at it all negative, because, you know, I know people like that, you know, personally. So it's like, I just want people to get the information. If that's the way we can get the information, we're gonna get them that information.
Yeah, and how empowering it is to see adults with autism talk about it and be able to articulate how they feel and how they see the world. Because a lot of times they help us, they open our eyes to so many things that we take for granted every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, you showed me something I walk past every day, and you picked it up and you taught me how to do something. So there's learning in every human. Any human can teach. It's just if we're willing to hear them out.
Yeah. And we're, like you said, we're being more accepting and open to it. There wasn't a space for them to even show that or have that voice. So now, you know, through resources, through people like yourself, they got that voice now. So that's dope.
And sometimes parents just want to be heard. Like another part of me being a BCBA is I have to hold parent trainings. So insurance is, you have to have a certain amount of parent trainings per month or per cycle. And sometimes it's just venting sessions from parents. I'm not providing no insight. You need to get it out. And it's like, you're heard. And then they're okay.
One of them additional ways you spreading love, just listening, right? That I've been using this term a lot lately. That love legacy, that's the legacy, you know, through all your works that you're doing. So being in that educator space is big on mentorship. I'm sure you got tons of kids that come back and see you and thank you and appreciate you for all the work that you've done. Families that do the same. You know, talk about outside of your parents, you know, setting that foundation, some of the mentors that helped guide you in certain spaces. How important has that been to you? And shout them out.
So my mentor since I was in college, Larry Meadows, he's still my mentor today. Shout out to him because he is now a PhD student at Harvard freaking University.
Yay.
Another world changer. He wants to change the world through education as well, but in the infrastructure of education. So that's what he's doing now in a cohort with Black and Brown students. It's just great. I'm just so excited. So yes, he's my mentor, been since 2009, I think. So he guides me through just life in general, not any specific niche. He's just like, hey, youngster, what you got going on today? What's happening? Talk about it. What's your plan? Like, that's how we talk. And he guides me through it. And then Latricia Adams, she's the CEO of Black Millennials for Flint. She was also my president when I was community service programs chair for Urban League. So being under her leadership was a mentor or tutelage, as they would say. And now I'm still looking up to her as CEO, even though I'm board chair. I go to her for a lot of insight and kind of how to understand corporate world and nonprofit world. And all of that. Honestly, those are like my main hitters. I got a couple people that I'll reach out to for insight. I think I rely heavily on my tribe just for insights, and like, those calls were like, tell me if I'm not tripping type of calls before I do it. But I'm an avid like researcher and reader, so I try my best. If I don't know something, I'm going to be in the depths of books or articles to try to figure it out before I implement it, type of deal.
And talk about real quick how that even came to be, because I remember being a youngster, not really having my father present consistently in my impressionable years, and start hearing this term mentor. I'm like, man, and a lot of kids in my neighborhood didn't have a mentor. We didn't really have OGs that were on the right path, teaching kids how, what they should be doing. A young impressionable person listening to the podcast right now, how did you even make those connections to be in a position to have a mentor, right? Because all my mentors are people that I've admired. John C. Maxwell, he's a leadership expert, so I've read a bunch of his books, looked at him as a mentor. So but I've never had an actual mentor and call up like, hey, what up? I had that tutelage, as you just said. How did those dots connect?
So mine came kind of unorthodox with Larry. We actually met at homecoming. So I went to IUP for undergrad, and he's an alum. So we were at a homecoming type of tailgate situation, and I was like, you look like you know some stuff. You look like you smart.
I need to be your friend.
I may need to hook up with you.
Yeah. So being open.
Really
being open. There you go. Being open and receptive. That's what's up.
Probably some beverages were being poured at the time where I had courage to do that, because I didn't know him from a can of paint. I knew he was, he was with a group up there, but I didn't know him. I just walked up and was like, hey, tell your friends we could be friends. Like, we could be friends. And that's really what happened. And we've been inseparable ever since. He's actually coming down here Labor Day to hang out. But we've been thick as thieves since then. And he's also help expand my network. So anyone he meets, he'll make sure I'm there. I have a seat at the table. And I think that's the best part about mentorship. It shouldn't just be you and your mentee the whole time. Yeah. I think I'm not successful if it's just us for years. I need to connect you with people that's even better than me. That's going to put you in places you might need to be. So I might vent about something with my board or something, and then people like, I'm gonna put you in contact with someone because I don't know. I don't know what that's about, but I know somebody that I know, and so he'll connect me.
Oh,
that's what's up. Yeah. So I never had a formal. Well, when I was with the Urban League, that's one shout out for them. They had the Emerging Leaders Program, which is a nationwide program, and it teaches you how to be a CEO of a nonprofit or of an affiliate specifically for Urban League. But you get hooked up with a mentor or a coach, they call them, a professional coach. And then you have to do work, deep dives, create your philosophy and identify your weak spots, a deep kind of dive into who you are as a being, so you understood who you are as a leader. So Angela Errol, she was my coach, and she's pretty dope. If y'all want to look her up on LinkedIn, she's actually in North Carolina, actually. Okay. She also was pivotal.
So let me ask you this: did you have a mentor that introduced you to being a doula?
No.
So how did you get into that space?
How did I get into that space? Okay. So my goal in being a world changer is very specific to the brown and Black and Indigenous communities. Because, we get the short end of the stick for the most part. And so in that, and understanding and in education, I learned that Black women specifically have the highest maternal death rate in all racial groups. And that is because, and there's a whole study at Harvard about it. I can tell you guys the book, right? I can't think of it right now. I think it's called Bandwidth Recovery. But it's because we take on all the oppression of racism and then the oppression of our men in our community. And we hold it in our wombs and we hold it in our bodies. And so that's why we have the highest infant mortality rate and maternal death rate. And so I wanted to change that. I think every life deserves to live. And we deserve to thrive as a community. So how can I, you know, tackle that is making sure that the birthing journey is a positive one for these moms or these birthing people. And so I was like, well, let me look into being a midwife. Yeah, I'm not gonna be a midwife, but I could be a doula because that's what I do anyway. Is I'm an advocate. So why not be that in the birthing journey as well? And so that's what got me into it. So I did Southern Birth Justice. That's who trained me, and it's specifically for Brown and Black and Indigenous birthing people. And you just we learn so much about how gynecology was founded due to the mutilation of Black women and slaves. As 3 women specifically that were continuously tortured in order to create medicine for women. And so with that, I'm like, we're not going through that, or, you know, the mistreatment of Black women or birthing people in overall in healthcare is terrible. So why can't we have a better experience? And so that's how I got into it, just to make sure we're surviving all the way around, whether it's birthing, in our education system, in our housing, just everything.
Being an advocate and being able to be an advocate in so many spaces and being educated, you know, knowing about those spaces, so, you know, and diving head into those spaces is that's a skill I wish I could do consistently. You know what I mean? Like, that's super dope, super awesome. I commend you for that.
Thank you. But I think I don't think everyone needs to have that. I think if you got your strong suit in what area, because I'm for sure certain you got something that is way stronger than me.
No, and it, I guess my, like, with deep diving in, I'm gonna go deep, but I'm like, all right, man, that's enough. I'm taking on too much. I need something else to calm the palate right now. I need something to calm the palate.
But I think for me, I do that. There's times where I'm overwhelmed with emotion, or like, okay, so I mean, I shared I was an empath, and I take on everything to the point where I had to learn how to protect my energy in certain situations. So when not George Floyd, Philando Castile out in Sterling, when that whole rapid murdering sessions happened on live Facebook Live and videos, I watched them, not thinking it was how it was going to impact me. Right. It put me into a deep depression where I couldn't even get out of my bed. And so after that, I told myself I cannot watch these things, although it, you know, enrages me that someone was murdered on live TV like that, and the murderers got away with it. I can't watch it, but I know what happened. I can read articles, but I can't see it. And so I have to protect my energy in that way. And then sometimes I got to just walk away and disappear for a while and kind of recalibrate before I go back into advocacy. And so I think that's a human instinct, right? We get overwhelmed and we just got to chill out for a second. And COVID taught me that, because I was going hard. COVID told me to sit my butt down and just be with me for a while. And that was helpful.
I hear a lot of resilience as you got a lot of plates spinning and a lot of, you know, moving parts to everything that you do. What are some of those resiliency practices that you could share with folks that you do to compartmentalize a lot of this stuff, like to step away? You know, maybe it's, you know, going to a Beyonce show. And,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Beyonce does everything, right? or you know what I'm saying, just chopping up with your tribe and having a good, you know, talk, or what are some of those practices? Because that's important. You know, we are entrepreneurial podcast, and we always talk about getting to the bag, and yeah, that's cool. But what is you got the bag now, but you stressed out, your hair falling out.
The bag ain't helpful.
Right. So what are some of those practices you exercise to keep you on the woosah?
So one major thing that I've been practicing for, years. So my tribe knows, anyone that works closely to me knows Sundays are off limits. Sundays are my self-care day where I try my best not to leave the house. I don't take calls. I don't hang out with people. It's just me in my house with my pup. I meal prep. I do everything I need to do to prepare myself for the coming week. If I don't do that, my whole next week is thrown off. And I'm miserable. So that Peloton, thank you God for giving the vision of Peloton. Thank you God, because that has gotten me through. If y'all want to follow me, Shasho Bob on the leaderboard. I do that whether it's on the bike or doing anything on the app to kind of get my exercise and my endorphins going. Therapy. I have a therapist.
Talk about it.
And so I go and I just dump. And sometimes she tells me off. Sometimes she tells me I'm tripping. Sometimes she tells me my feelings are valid. But I have to get that. And then sometimes if I'm not scheduled to see her, for another month, but something happens then, right in a moment, I hit her up and be like, please let me know when you're free. And she'll open up the line for me and call me to make sure I'm okay. And I think that's the most important part, is to having someone you could dump to or just vent to, unbiased, don't know anything about me besides what I'm telling you, and to give me feedback, or just sometimes, like you said, just listen. Like Nate, sometimes she just listens and I'll be sitting there like, girl, what you about to tell me something? She's like, nah. You're gonna sit and think this through openly. And I'd be like, dang it. But that's really it. And then, time if I need to be loved up on by my tribe, I'll make sure I do a brunch here and there, or just sit in silence with my peeps. But I'm an introvert, so being alone actually energizes me more than being with people. Nice. Journaling, reading, music.
I was about to say, you staying true to that, because I forgot what it was about a month or two ago. You was like, yeah, I appreciate that, but this is my self-care day. Like I'm gonna come back to you tomorrow. I'm gonna hit my my Monday affirmation, and then I'll holler at you then. But
affirmations. That's another thing I do to keep me grounded. So the affirmations came about because I've been doing them, and one of my friends was like, somebody else could benefit from that. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll make a video. And I'll just start making the videos of my affirmations. So the ones I have on my page, those are literally my affirmations for the week for myself.
And they're gonna go viral. I told you that. Everyone's gonna go viral now.
It's just yeah. And as a teacher, I would do affirmations with my class. I feel like self-talk is where you should start. If you want to make any impact, you got to start with you. So I'm like, why not? Why not share this? But what do y'all do for self-care, or to
asking the question to us now?
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Nate.
No, I was gonna say I'm like you. I like spending time to myself. Sometimes I gotta step away and just be with me. I'm just now realizing, within the last year, there was a majority of the population. I don't know, it's through the social construct or whatever, or us feeling like we gotta be around somebody all the time, that can't go to the movies by themselves. They can't go to the bar and eat by themselves. I love me, and I love spending time in my space. So even though I got a family, I need my time for me. That basketball, that's been my sanctuary since I was a kid. That was my first love. So that messed me up when COVID hit, and I couldn't hoop with the fellas on Tuesdays and Thursdays no more. And I put on some pounds, so I just had to go to my daughter's school up the street and just dribble myself and just unpack everything. So, so just being alone and hooping. Those are my two main things for real.
Cool.
Man, I feel like I don't really be doing stuff for self-care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've been in therapy, but therapy. I just go ride. I might go just drive to the gas station or something. Just get out the house or something. I work at home, so I'll be at home by myself. So and working at home prior to COVID. I worked at home for 8 years. Then I came into the office for 8 months, and now back at home for the past, I don't know how many. And so it's I'm always isolated. I'm an only child. I'm an introvert. I'm cool by myself. You know what I'm saying?
You're in a good bubble.
Yeah. So yeah, so my thing is more like I kind of need the more social thing for self-care, but I don't like people, so it just don't work.
You're in a conundrum.
I'm in a whole
I'm
conundrum.
about to say you need a social joint like that.
It's just like, going just to get out. You know what I'm saying?
Out the
Yeah.
norm.
Yeah, just to get out something different. So that's what I usually do. Just go out and get some cultural stuff, find a food truck here and there.
Okay. Okay, good guys. Good fellas.
Hey, we can talk about that a little bit. Finding your person as far as a therapist goes. So shout out to the EAP program. I work for the federal government that gave me access to a plethora of different therapists. And I feel like I've had all good therapists, right? They've helped me, they've listened, they've been unbiased. And I've been through a few of them, but I still haven't found my person. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and I want them to be Black, no offense. To any other therapists out there, I know may be amazing at what they do, but it's been a challenge finding my person. And I don't feel like I could just jump, keep jumping to different people. You know what I'm saying? So,
And then it's because you got to keep telling the same thing over and over.
yeah,
Traumatized.
that reset button. I feel like I'm like
It's traumatizing.
yeah, a little bit.
It can be. Now, question, and let me know if it's TMI or whatever, but have all your prospects been men, Black men?
One woman.
One woman.
One woman.
And the rest have been men.
The rest of it, man. Because I felt like I was seeking out that older uncle, grandfatherly kind of advice and tutelage from that voice. Because if we unpacking a lot, I feel like that's what I lacked growing up. Like my mother was one of my best friends. I got a bunch of aunts. Like I've always had that womanly, motherly voice in my corner to give me tutelage, but I lacked as far as that male voice. So that I think I was seeking that out. But yeah, they've all been Black, a few have been men, and one woman.
Because just
and
from
all
talking
older and all older too.
Okay. So just from talking to like my homeboys that have gone through this, they found more comfort or more success with a more middle-aged Black woman than a man. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
So my therapist is a Southern white lady, and the reason why is because I don't want nobody's perspective who might be close to mine. You know what I mean? Like I know they do the work, whatever, but I don't want. Like I had my first therapist was a Black lady, and she gave me good advice. You know what I'm saying? And I be thinking about it sometimes. Like I might, but just to be able to have I don't like it's the whole antithesis of everything I think. You know what I mean? And so like that makes me step out of my comfort zone because going to therapy ain't comfortable at all. So
right,
why not? Try something different. If that don't work, then we'll try Black male. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think for me, it was important to have a therapist that I can't recognize.
Yeah.
So, question about that, and I'm sorry, and I'll pass it back to y'all. But has there ever been a point in your session where you're like, you don't get it because you don't understand my trauma, or you don't understand the background knowledge of why I'm this way or feeling this way, or the inability to connect to that?
No, because I think that because I think that just she's more of an ear.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean, it's like because I'll talk, I'll end up connecting those things myself. I don't necessarily need her. Yeah, that's I just need her to help me to sit there, and when I get too far close to the ledge, say, hey, come back a little bit. Let's get back to where we're trying to go.
Okay.
And I think that was the important thing. I'm not necessarily looking for advice or, hey, I just want somebody to listen.
That makes sense.
And that's what I look for too. I don't look for advice. I just appreciate perspective. And that's what all the therapists that I've had, they just give me a different perspective on things or unbiased viewpoint that maybe, wasn't in my purview. You know what I'm saying? So,
because when I first started, I was like sitting on the couch like, so like,
what is it?
What we doing here?
But she's like, just talk, and I'm like,
wait.
You're telling an introvert just talk. I'm not going to give you much.
It's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy.
And so once we get to going, get the gab start coming.
Then you don't want to stop.
Then she's like, at the end of the session, this was an old therapist. I don't see her anymore. Not for anything bad. I just had to switch because insurance. But she was like, so today you learned. And I was like, what I learned?
Right. I've been talking this whole time. What you mean?
And she'd be like, that you. And I'm like, just freaking tell me because I don't know what I just learned. And having to sit with the silence and kind of work it out, like you said, and figure it out myself, that was very uncomfortable for me because I'm used to someone, especially being a preacher's kid. You're going to tell me what I need to be doing. You're going to tell me what book I need to read.
Yeah.
Having to sit and work through my own issues with myself. Like, I ain't coming back. I don't like it.
This ain't fun. Like, yeah, this ain't fun at all, man. Like, why do I not like myself right now?
Right. I can't stand the silence. She would just sit and look at me, and I'd be like, somebody please talk.
It was the opposite for me, though. I look forward to that because, Keisha, you know me. Like, a lot of people from the outside just feel like I got it all together. Oh, Nate's good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never had that sounding board where I could just be vulnerable and share that stuff with. You know what I'm saying? So, like, this is a person that I don't know them, but I know they're going to give me an unbiased opinion, and I'm putting my trust in that person. I don't trust people easy anyway. So I'm not going to trust these random people that might use what I say against me later on. I'm going to give it to this person. So for me, it was like, bam, this was going on. What's going on? All right, what's up? Right. So it was kind of easy for me. I was comfortable with telling a stranger. I'm not going to tell nobody else. I'm going to hold all that in. I'll
right? But that comes from like, you know, like y'all my homies, but there's stuff I ain't gonna talk to y'all about. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you knew something about me that no one else in the world knew.
That's what I'm saying.
For a long time.
Yeah, right? And like I just, you know, and sometimes I don't even want to hear it from other people. Like I don't want that on my I'm an empath. I don't want nothing on my conscience that don't have to be on my conscience, because somehow, way, shape, or form, I'm gonna think about that shit, and I'm like, man, this mother, god damn, like. And
that whole, I'm remember. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that brought up a point, being an empath. So it was like I had to learn how to set a boundary, even with friend groups. Like, because what I noticed is, because I'm an empath, people sense it. I'm a great listener. They'll call me to dump.
They dump it.
You dump on me, and then they like, whoa, I feel so much better. All right, girl, have a good day. And now I'm heavy as heck. I'm heavy. Because you dumped and you didn't even check to see if I had any baggage on me before you dumped. So now I've gotten into a practice of telling my loved one, before you dump or you're calling me to dump, ask me, do I have capacity? And you have to be okay if I say no. Or allow me to say, no, at this time I don't have capacity. Let me get on Peloton real quick, get to create some capacity for you. Or let me just call you back another day. Or I don't got it at all, my nigga.
Right.
Okay. Because it is draining, especially doing work in service, work in education.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a relationship, take it on that, and then you dumping on me. I could have had a breakdown 7 times today, and you would have never knew.
Never know. My cup been empty for 18 days. What you mean?
Right.
And so I posted something on Instagram a few months ago, and it was a girl talking, and she was like, I am no longer pouring from an empty cup or from my cup, period. I am pouring from my saucer. So if I'm not overflowing, you ain't gonna get nothing out of me, because I need all of that that's in my cup for me.
You
are going to get the abundance and the overflow of that. So I suggest you pour into me so that saucer can be filled, so you can get some of that slurpage.
The slurpage.
And that's real.
That's a bar. Get some of that slurpage.
That's real though. Like, that's real though, is because we expect, just because we humans are, their problems, they don't care about. They want to, you know, I got to get this off my soul, and it don't bother them. They my friend. They want to hear, but you know, everybody got their own issue, and you know, like you said, dumping on people and just kind of walking away like, woo, I feel so much better now, and now that person underwater now, and it's like, damn, how do I get up? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's gonna help me up? Like, there's nobody I can dump to.
Nobody.
But
And that's another thing. It's like sometimes it's lonely out here.
very much.
And so it goes back to that self-care, and that's you have to be sometimes more self-reliant than others because it can be lonely. Like if, especially as an empath, you're being a dumping ground for so many people. No one really checks on you. And I don't know for you, Case, or you, Nate, but it's like I had gotten into a routine of not expressing my needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, suppressing it. And then that caused implosion.
Mm.
And so when I started going to therapy, that's when I was like, oh, I need to be addressing these feelings with somebody. And I just got to pick the person I need to address them with so that I don't implode again. Cause that's not a good feeling. That could cause, premature death.
Yeah.
Keeping all of that in. And so I had to learn that.
That's one of the struggles with being a world changer and that being part of your brand.
Yeah. Not understanding that there's limits to everything, right?
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, and then the weird thing about boundaries is that when you start to put your boundaries up, the people who've always violated them boundaries,
They look at you like you crazy, like what, like you switching up.
they don't know how to act.
Right.
It shows true friendship, true relationships when you put a boundary up. See how people respond. I've learned that first freaking hand. If you buck to my boundary, your intentions were not good for me. Because you would want, like I said before, love is what? Wanting more for someone than you want for yourself. So if I'm putting up a boundary, it's to preserve something within me. And if you don't like that, then you don't love me. Because I'm acting in love for myself. And if you're against me acting in love for myself, your intentions are not good and pure for me.
That's real.
Yeah, they scattered like cockroaches. What you say?
I was about to say, man, that's how you end that joint. Like,
what questions?
Yeah, man.
But you see, that's why I sent them to you. Like, that's just a kind of general guideline, but we didn't even have no guideline tonight.
We were everywhere.
Flowing, but I love the spaces that we occupied, though. This was dope.
This was actually energizing as an introvert. I feel like I need to go run.
That kind of time.
Yeah.
Man,
this is good.
I appreciate all the insight that you provided, all the gems that you dropped. Like I'm inspired. Like I can do more. Like there's still more that I can do in order to change the world the way that I see the world need to be changed, man. So I really do appreciate your time this evening.
No, thank you. I appreciate you guys for even thinking of me and bringing me on, and you sharing your insight with me as Black men, right? I think we see the world sometimes differently, but it doesn't mean it's the wrong way. And I mean, Nate and I, we go hard in conversation. Nate probably like, man, Shy is crazy.
No. I mean, I try to again see it from other perspective, than mine, because I'm not the end all be all. I don't know everything, and the more I have those conversations, the better I can understand where other people are coming from. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely value those conversations.
Because I'd be like, no, Nate, I disagree. I'd be going, yeah.
Some of them just get left alone because we just agree to disagree. We're like,
on the wall, man.
Yeah, no, but no, thank you for giving me this opportunity and just being able to build with y'all. Hopefully this is not the last time we speak. And I don't mean having me on here, but just like some way we can connect to, impact something together.
Collaboration over competition is what we say all the time. All the guests that come on the Extraordinary Exchange end up being, family after a while. And we have ongoing dialogue. Like you were talking about with your mentors, how you'd be like, oh, no, you know what? Let me connect you with this, and that as we build this brand and build this tribe and these communities, because it's in our mission statement, you know what I'm saying, to positively impact the communities we serve through education and smart financial strategies. So our community has been growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And sorry to put more on your plate. You're part of our community now. So, so our resources are your resources. You did?
Same for me. Whatever y'all might need, if it's just insight on anything, just call me, hit me up, text me, Instagram me, whatever.
Appreciate that. And
Yeah, so tell them, where can they find you? Do all the,
Oh, yeah. You guys can find me on Instagram at shyshowbob_. As soon as you type in shy, usually I come right up. Follow me there. I think that's the most platform I'm most active in. TikTok is the same. It's the same handle. But yeah, welcome to my world.
Man, we appreciate you coming on this evening.
Thanks, guys. Well, enjoy your night. And let me know how I can support. I would be more than happy to help out.
Appreciate that.
We do appreciate it. Thank you all for being here, and our community for listening, chopping it up with us, experiencing this extraordinary exchange, because the exchange is with y'all too. Y'all listening, y'all give us feedback, and we're gonna keep this train rolling. So follow us. Me and Case are only 2 of 12 Black men that are in the community, trying to be our own version of our world changers, and doing what we do. So until next time, we'll holla. Peace.